It gives me immense pleasure to say that amongst us, we have Ms. Yevat Lee, who has completed her master's in social work, a diploma in psychotherapy and counseling. She is the president of Soroptimist International Bombay Chamber. She is even associated with the Pillai Group of Institutions as a counselor. We are very blessed to have you today, ma'am. Today, she is going to address the topic of stress and time management and even solve our queries. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anmol. A very warm good evening to everyone. Thank you, Dr. K.M. Vasudevan Pillai and Dr. Daphne Pillai for joining in for the session. Thank you, Joshi sir, Madhumita ma'am, and all the other students and all the other teachers who have organized the session. And I'm hoping that this session will be of use to all of you, as right now we are anyway in stressful times because of the lockdown and the pandemic that we are going through. So we are facing stress, and on top of that, we are coupled with our exam stress, the uncertainty of the future, and we do not really know what is going to happen, and that is making us all stressed quite a bit. So, like it was introduced by our host today, Anmol, I'll be speaking about exam stress and what measures can you take to deal with exam stress. Now, this is a very generic conversation that we are having. Obviously, if stress is not handled by yourself, then you might need to visit a counselor. And like you all know, like Anmol has already said, that I am the counselor and the social worker for Mahatma Education Society and for all the institutions under the Pillai group of institutions. So at the end of the session, I'll leave you with my email address, and then you can connect with me if you need any further help. Okay, so we'll start. So basically, what is stress? We'll start with what is stress. Stress is any kind of unpleasant feeling or an undesirable feeling that we have, which might include nervousness, anxiety, excessive concern about how our results are going to be, etc. So stress might necessarily not only be bad. Okay, there is we all require a certain amount of stress in our lives, because if we are not concerned about our future, or we are not concerned about results when it comes to examination, we will not be able to excel. We will not put in the hard work. We will not focus on our preparations, etc. So it basically helps us to improve our performance. But sometimes stress actually goes over the top and you aren't able to deal with it. And that's when the problem arises. So, people who are stressed, not only examination stress, but particularly today, because we are talking about examination stress, people who are stressed usually feel certain bodily symptoms. They are called as psychosomatic symptoms. These psychosomatic symptoms could be including, like, for example, a tense feeling in your stomach, like you could say butterflies in your stomach, or a headache, or very commonly what people feel when they are stressed is a neck pain. Okay, you find sleeping and eating disturbances. So you might sleep less, or you might, because of stress, you might feel extremely sleepy. Common eating disorders are also seen during this time. Like, for example, eating too much. A lot of people go binge eating when they are stressed, or you might also stop eating because of that. And other symptoms which include, when you know that you are extremely stressed, is like you lose your temper often, you snap often, you feel unhappy, you feel low. Commonly, you feel sad. Okay, so these are certain symptoms that you can see in your body, that tells you that your stress is reaching a little higher level and you might need to take care of it. Otherwise, other stresses are important for us to help us, basically, to help us perform well and to put in the hard work. Now, what are the reasons for stress, specifically for exam stress? The first and the most important reason why most of us are stressed is because we fear failure. Okay, we are scared that what our results are going to be, how are we going to be evaluated. That is the most common fear of examination, the reason why we feel stressed. The second is, obviously, and I think like most of you have written and have sent in your queries already, it is because you are worried about how you are going to meet the expectations of your parents and your teachers, whether you will be able to live up to them, whether you will get a good percentage and you will make your parents proud, etc. These are some of the stresses. Another stress another cause for stress is obviously if you haven't prepared well. So if you haven't prepared well for your examination, in today's case, we are talking specifically about the entrance examinations that we have, like the CET and other entrance exams. So if you haven't prepared well, then you obviously develop a certain amount of stress, and this could often lead to anxiety and in some cases depression as well. Now, there are various things that could contribute to the stress. Okay, the first reason or the first main cause that could contribute to this stress is the lack of information. So you might not, the lack of information in terms of you might not know properly about how to give the exam, what is the course, what do you need to study, where do you need to study from, what are the books, what is the syllabus, etc. So in that case, what you need to do is obviously you need to get good information. And we know that we have a lot of teachers, a lot of institutes, your school teachers and your college teachers, all of them can greatly help in giving you the right information that you need. Okay. The next reason is poor studying styles, your poor studying styles. Most often, all of us students, and including me when I was a student, we all study at the last moment, right? We all end up binge studying, what you say, like how we do binge eating. Too much of food goes into your body at one point of time. Similarly, all of us binge study. We all study too much information going at one point of time into our mind. So binge studying is another contributing factor to exam stress. Also, the concept of rote learning. All of us ratta marte hain. We do not really understand and we do not really give it a thought, and we think that it will remain in our mind as we have studied it from the rote. Another very common problem, another reason that we need to consider and take care of is revision. A lot of us, we prepare for our exam, and when I speak to you on tips further on during the session, I will talk to you about the revision formula, the formula that you need to apply when revising, and that is one of another area of concern that you need to consider during your examination preparation. Another thing that you need to consider is your lifestyle pattern. So, getting enough sleep, getting good nutrition, and obviously, I think commonly today, all of us are addicted to technology, to our mobile devices, to social media. So, always our phone is always lying nearby us. We are always responding to messages. So, our attention span has obviously greatly reduced because of that, and we need to take care of it. Now, all of these problems that we have spoken about, coupled with our thinking pattern, which is our psychology, is what causes exam stress. So, our thinking pattern usually of all of us is that of self-criticism. We are negatively thinking. We have a lot of irrational beliefs, irrational fears that we have that we need to take care of. And in the course of time, I will tell you how you take care of all these irrational fears and beliefs. One irrational fear that you commonly hear is that if I don't get good marks, my family will not love me anymore. Or another irrational demand that you make for yourself is I need to get at least 80% or 90% marks, otherwise I'm worthless. Okay. Or no matter how hard I try, I always fail. These are certain irrational thoughts and thinking patterns that we have that need to be changed, which will only aid the process of self reduction in our system. Now, I'll discuss with you a certain tips on how do you deal with exam stress. Now, most of all these tips are what you need to do while you're preparing for your exams. Um, they are divided under three. Okay, first is time management, second is study skills, and the third is the stress reduction activities or techniques that I will be speaking about. I think time management is the most important while preparing for exams. And I think not only preparing for exams, but for everybody, time management is extremely important because we are always multitasking. Like they truly say that no one plans to fail, but some fail to plan. So that is the key. Planning and time management is the key. So the first step in time management, while you're managing your time, the first step that you need to do is you need to and make a list of everything that you need to do in a day, right from sleeping to eating, socializing, exercise, studying for your school or college exams, plus your competitive exams. If you are going for any classes, then you need to list that down as well. Okay. After you list all of this down, right, you need to make a broad schedule. A broad schedule in terms of how much time are you going to assign to each of these activities. Okay. What you need to do is you need to set a goal. So if you need to set a goal for your week or for the day, you start off by setting goals for the day and then you move on to setting goals for the week. So for example, if your goal for today is to focus on your competitive examination preparation, then that is your goal for today. So your today's time management or your today's schedule that you are preparing will give a larger amount of time to preparation for your competitive exam. Then you need to basically understand and figure out what is your most productive time of the day. Now some people have different time clocks and they have their productivity time is different at different points of time. For example, some people like to study early in the morning, wake up early in the morning. Some people study well later in the night, right? So depending on what your study productive time is, which will differ from person to person, you need to assign that time to the most important activity. Your most important activity, your goal depends on your goal. So if it's your competitive exams, or if your short term goal is to finish a certain assignment that has been given to you in your school or your college, so that you will assign this most productive time of yours to that. Okay. Also see that you get enough after making this broad schedule, then you will narrow it down to fill in your make a whole day schedule, fill in your time to sleep. Please understand that a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep is extremely important, because until and unless you get a good sleep, your mind is not rested and you are not able to focus. So please set in time for sleep, set in time for your hobby, set in time for exercise. Exercise is extremely important because when you exercise, it releases endomorphins in your body. Endomorphins means biologically there are hormones in your body that are released, and these hormones are happy hormones. They make you feel happy, they make you feel calm. That's why every day you should have a time for exercise, whether be it yoga, whether be it a run or a walk, etc., skipping, etc. Okay, that is what you need to do. Then also please schedule some amount of time for socializing in terms of meeting friends, connecting with friends over certain hobbies. Now this you might not need to do every day. Okay, most of your time right now we are at home, so it's difficult, but when you are going to college, a lot of your socialization need, your need for affiliation and your need for socialization is completed in college, because you are meeting your friends, you are hanging out with them, you're meeting them in the canteen, or you're talking with them, etc. But however, on other days you might have to put in a certain amount of time for socializing, because again this helps you stay focused and this helps you stay positive. Okay. Another very important thing while you're making these schedules is that you make them very realistic. Okay. You should not be like, I will study for 6 hours straight. It doesn't work like that way. Psychological research says that an adult's concentration span is only for 40 to 45 minutes. That's what research says. So try and take breaks after every 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. Take a 10-minute break, take a 15-minute break, get some water, get some sunlight, do some deep breathing during this, and get back to your studies again. Because sometimes most often what happens is, the reason why we are not motivated to study is because we have this larger than life goal in front of us. Larger than life goal means I have to study for 6 hours. So my mind is already thinking that अरे 6 hours तो कितना ज़्यादा है, मैं कैसे concentrate करेगा. So first only you get demotivated. So if you keep smaller goals, achievable goals, then you are able to focus better, because then you are playing a game with your mind and you're like, okay, only 45 minutes I have to focus and I will be able to do that. So you are able to concentrate during that time. You need to also, during this point of time, what you need to do is basically you need to prioritize your activities. Now this prioritization might happen on a daily basis or it might happen on a weekly basis. So if on a certain day you have your priority is an assignment completion that you need to give to your college, then that will obviously be higher up on your list, on your time management list, and on your schedule list as compared to your other activities. But however, when it comes to your competitive examination and preparation for competitive examination, it is extremely important that you schedule some time of the day every day for preparing that. That is very important. Another important time management skill is to continue to review your schedule. Okay, so if your schedule every day, it's important at the end of the day to make a log of how you've spent your time, where you have spent extra time, where you have wasted time, so that the next day when you sit down to it, you are aware of what could be the probable problems and hence you can deal with them. Okay, so it's very important that you schedule and you review your time, and this can be done on a daily basis as well as on a weekly basis. One very important thing while you are scheduling your time is to keep time for revision. Most often we end up only studying and learning. We never keep time for revision. So the formula that a lot of counselors and psychologists use for revision is the formula of 1, 2, 7, 15, and 30. Means on the first day you study, second day you revise the same thing that you've studied on the first day. Then on the fifth day, you will again revise what you've studied on the first day. Similarly, seventh day and the 30th day. What you are doing by doing this, you might not have to study the whole contents or revise the whole contents again. You only need to remember the important points or the important subtopics that you have to remember. By doing this, you are actually cementing a whole chapter or a whole topic that you are studying. So this is the very, very important thing that we need to consider. And a lot of us only continue studying, but we do not spend enough time on revision. So, like I have said, our schedule has to be very, very realistic. Okay, please understand that often assignments or studies or things take much more time than expected. So always give a little time break where you, if you need more time to study or if you need more time to cover a certain portion, you are able to fill in it. Now, what happens when you have made a time schedule and you're still not able to focus? That's a very common question that students come to me and say that, मैम मैंने शेड्यूल तो बनाया है, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ उस पर फोकस करने को, पर मैं नहीं कर पाता हूँ या नहीं कर पाती हूँ. So what do you do in that case? I think a very, very easy trick. It looks very simple and it seems very not so great, but it's really helpful is that what you have to do is you have to you can set a timer for 10 minutes. Now, what is that timer? That timer needs to be an alarm clock. Please do not keep your phones near you while you are studying. So keep a timer for 10 minutes, okay? And what will you tell yourself? That I need to only focus for 10 minutes. Again, what are you doing? You're trying to play a game with your mind. You're trying to tell your mind that only 10 minutes I have to focus. 10 minutes is not a large time. So what do you do in that case is you are telling your mind only 10 minutes. So it seems very doable. But the probability of you being able to concentrate further is and focus further is always longer. You just need to start, and this is like a buffer start for you when you set this timer. Like I said, you have to keep and review your time schedule every day or on a weekly basis and see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So that is how you can manage your time. Also, like I said, please keep time for recreational activities as well. I know 24 hours sometimes that seems very, very less, and how do you fit in all these things in these 24 hours? But you might not need to have a recreational activity every day or time for you to complete your hobby every day. But every 3 days or every 2-3 days, you need to engage in some recreational activity to feel positive and to feel happy. So that is the first tip on studies, on time management that I would like to speak about. The second thing that we will speak about now is your study skills. Study skills is extremely important because it will basically tell you how to study in the time that you have assigned while you have scheduled your time for the day. The first study skill that is most important is that you need to find out what is your study pattern. Now, that study pattern, it differs from individuals. Some people like to write while they study. Okay, these are different types of learners, like how you study. Some people like to write, some people are visual learners, right? Some people might are auditory learners. So depending on your study style, you might want to write and study, you might want to speak loudly and study, or you might want to discuss with your friends and study. For me individually, when I study, I like to teach somebody and study, so that works for me. So it might help you also, and it might help your other friends while you are studying. So you need to basically keep an eye out on what are your study patterns and see that you implement these study patterns. The second important study skill that we need to remember is to keep a proper space for study. So to have a study desk or to have a study space. Now I understand a lot of us live in smaller homes. We might not have enough space to study, or we may not have a desk, but assign a certain space, maybe a chair or a sofa, where you study. Now, the reason why I say about assigning a certain space to study is because of this concept that we study in psychology called as conditioning. And an easy example is that as soon as you go and you sit on your bed or you lie on your bed, automatically your mind tells your body that I am lazy or I need to sleep. So you start feeling sleepy, right? So what we are trying to do is we are trying to make an association between a space and concentration here as well. So that is the reason why we need to assign a certain space. So that means that as soon as you go and you sit on that space, your mind automatically needs to send signals to your body and to your mind, obviously, your brain, that okay, now is the time to study, now is the time to concentrate. That's why the one suggestion is that please do not let your bed be your study space. Okay, because then you are anyway inviting your mind to tell you, okay, I'm lazy and I don't feel like studying. See that your study space is different from your sleeping space. That is very very important. See that your study space is uncluttered. बहुत सारी चीजें नहीं होनी चाहिए, बहुत सारी books नहीं होनी चाहिए. Only what you need to focus on for that day is what is important. Because if there are too many things cluttered around on your table, बहुत सारी चीजें पड़ी हुई हैं आपके टेबल पे, then your mind also gets stressed and more cluttered. That is the reason why you need to have a clean study space. Important thing, please keep your phones on silent mode, no notification mode, in a different room if possible while you are studying. Okay, because we are, all of us, we are the generation X, we are the tech generation, and we have this fear of missing out, the FOMO fear that we are all talking about, right? Because of which we try and we go every now and then on social media and check up on what notifications, what my friends are doing, etc. So it's important to keep your phone out of your reach at this point of time so that it does not distract you. Again, it's only a matter of an hour for you to stay focused. Nothing will happen and you won't miss out on too many things if you do not check on your phone. Also, what is very important is that you have to learn to say no. There are many times where when you are studying and there is a peer pressure, or your friend will call you and will tell you, okay, chalo, let's go out, or let's go out for a coffee, or let's go out to get, or let's go out for a drive or a ride. At that point of time, I think being assertive and learning to say no is extremely important. Also, what happens, because you have your goal already in front of you, your goal of achieving a good percentage or a good marks, or a goal of clearing an entrance exam, that should be your goal, and that should be able to help you say no, because your focus is on that goal. Okay, and obviously a study skill that I've already spoken about, and I think the most important study skill is that of revision. Again, the formula of 1 2 7 15 30. So that formula and that study skill needs to be applied, because that is the most important thing when it comes to studying. Okay, now we've spoken about time management, we've spoken about study skills. Now we come to stress management. Stress management in terms of how do you deal with the feeling of anxiety, with the feeling of concern, with the feeling of anxiousness, nervousness when you're preparing for your exam. The first thing that you need to do is obviously, like I've already said, sleep well, sleep enough, because it helps you be calmer and it helps you focus. The second is eat healthy. Eat healthy in terms of eat nutritious food, reduce the intake of caffeine, the intake of sugar, the intake of coffee. For all of you who use smoking or drinking as a defense mechanism to deal with stress, that should be reduced considerably, because it will only add on to your stress and to your agitation and your impulsiveness as well. So that needs to be taken care of. The third thing is exercise. Like I said, exercise is extremely important. It is something that you should include in your daily schedule. At least 15 minutes to half an hour of exercise should be included in your daily schedule. Now, what I'm going to speak to you is a little techniques of how you deal with stress. So the first technique, and one that I use greatly with myself and with the other students and clients who come to me, is called as the grounding exercise. Now, the grounding exercise is an exercise which you use at a time when you are extremely overwhelmed, or when you aren't able to focus correctly and there are too many thoughts in your mind. So what do you do at this point of time? The first thing you do is you take a deep breath, and after you open your eyes, you loudly name 5 things that you can see around you, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So, what you're trying to do through this exercise is that you're trying to use all your 5 senses and come to the reality and come to the now, to the present. And this actually helps you calm down and settle down, because it helps you focus on these 5 senses rather than focusing on the 1,000 thoughts that are going on in your mind. So that is the grounding exercise, and this has tremendous results. It has great results, and it is not only for people who are going through exam stress, it is for everybody who might at any point of time face very stressful or overwhelming situations, and it helps you calm down within minutes at that point of time. The next technique that you can use is called as the total tension release technique. What you basically do at this point of time is that if you are sitting on a chair, or you could lie down on the ground, you try and you tense. You try and you tense all the muscles that you have in your body. So your fingers, your toes, your back, okay, your neck. You tense it and breathe and release it. Again, you tense it, you you breathe and you release it. So what happens is that, again, what you are trying to do is you're trying to pull your mind, you're trying to ground your mind to all the different muscles in your body, okay? Which then helps you focus, because you're focusing on your body rather than the 1,000 thoughts and the things around you. That's the total tension technique. And I think this is greatly used in yoga as well. As a part of yoga, when you do shavasana, etc., you use this technique a lot also. Another technique that you can use is called as the relaxation sanctuary technique. The relaxation sanctuary technique is what? You basically sit and breathe, and you breathe till you begin to feel your heartbeat. And once you start doing that, you try and imagine a safe space, a safe spot of yours. So a safe space, a safe spot of yours could be anywhere. It could be your home. It could be a beach. It could be a mountain. It could be a certain cafe that you are in. You try and you visualize yourself in that space. So once you're visualizing yourself in that space, it helps you calm down. And that basically, again, biologically, it releases serotonin in your body, which is a hormone which makes you feel happy and calm. It's called as visualization in psychology, or also it is called as the relaxation sanctuary technique. So basically, you think of a place that makes you calm and happy, and you remain in that place for 15 to 30 seconds in your mind, and then it helps release that, which makes you automatically, because of the hormones in your body which are being released, you automatically feel happy and calm. Okay, so these are a few techniques that you can use. Another technique that you actually use, that we use a lot for students who feel extremely nervous to give exams. A lot of students come and say, I blank out during my exams, I get very nervous, I'm unable to remember what I have studied. So we use something called as the situation desensitization technique. Now what you do in this technique is basically you create a space in your house or in a classroom where students can go through the whole examination process, like a mock exam. So if you are at home right now and you are worried about your examinations that you're going to be giving, what you can do is put a table and a chair and try in a specified amount of time, like if your examination is for 2 hours, if your examination is for 1 hour, then put on the timer and try and solve the whole examination during that time. It takes it takes a it's a process that you have to go through. You might have to go through it for a few times for your senses to get desensitized, so that you feel less scared when you are giving examinations. Another recommendation for you to deal with stress is, not only for you to deal with stress, but I think for everybody, a good recommendation is to keep a journal. A journal is like a diary where you record all that you're feeling, all that you're scared of, your irrational demands, your self talk. So your self talk is basically what you keep telling yourself, like your irrational demands that we discussed. So what you need to do is your journal will help you understand what is your self talk. And if you have a negative self talk, it can help you change that to a positive self talk. So, for example, if your self talk is "I am worthless," then if you note it down in your journal, then what you can do is with time, at what we usually do is at the back of your journal, you try and you change your negative self talk to your positive self talk in terms of "I am worthless," which can be changed to "I may not be able to do many things, but that does not make me worthless." So what happens with time is that once you're journaling and you're writing in your journal, you get to know each of your negative self talk and you're able to change it to a more positive self talk, which obviously will increase your confidence and will increase your self esteem. Another good thing to deal with stress is use of affirmations. Affirmations are basically sayings that you keep telling yourself. So, for example, I am doing the best that I can. I am worthy of success. I am capable. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. Sentences that you can keep telling yourself. I recommend you put up these affirmations on stamp pads or on small posters. You can place them on your study table, you can place them on your mirror, and you can throughout the day, you can continue using these positive self affirmations. So I think most commonly and most importantly, what we need to do is we need to believe in ourselves. And what we have discussed, positive self talk, where you change your negative self talk to a positive self talk, is something that will really help. So that's why journaling becomes extremely important. And I think at the end of the day, not only for students, but for all the faculty members here as well who have joined on the session, it is important to note or to take into notice three things that you have been grateful for. Before you go to sleep, note the three things that you have been grateful for in the day, or the three things that you have achieved in the day. The basic idea here is to see that you end the day on a positive note, so that once you go to sleep and you wake up positively. Okay. And most importantly, I think all of us need to be kind to ourselves. We need to give ourselves a break, especially on the difficult days and on the hard days, the days we are not able to follow our schedules. We need to give ourselves a break and understand that life is a marathon, it isn't a sprint. So you require all the energy you need to be able to focus, get back on track, and run the marathon again. So I think these were the few tips that I thought are generic tips that would help everybody. So we discussed time management, we discussed study skills, and we discussed relaxation techniques. So these are few things that we can do. I think I'll be giving a handout to all the students about all that I have said. I will now open up for certain questions that the students have already emailed to me.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable advice with us. We all students will take your advice into consideration and work accordingly. There are a few questions which the students would like to you answer, and I would say them there. The first question is, I always wanted to be a doctor but couldn't pursue it due to financial reasons. Now I am doing engineering, which is the field I'm not interested in. I don't know what to do as I'm not sure what profession I'm interested in. I'm very confused. Can you guide me?
I think this is a very common thing that we see, especially in our culture here, where a lot of us are either forced into a certain career or studying a certain subject by our parents or because of other societal pressures. But I think what can be done is that seeing this from a larger perspective in terms of, can I do anything about this now? So this question that has been asked by Anmol over here. It's that the student wanted to do medical but is now doing engineering. So the question is, can I do anything about it now? So your answer could be yes, in terms of, okay, I can still spend 5 years more doing my MBBS. My parents support me. My parents have the financial capacity to again, and I also have that much of willpower to see that I can do 5 more years of studies after I finished engineering. But I think most often, most of us, the answer would be no, that I cannot do anything about it right now. So in this time, what is very important is that we need to focus on the reality. So what is the reality? The reality right now is that you are doing engineering, right? So try and see what in engineering interests you. I understand from your question that you have been interested in medical. So right now we have the field of medical engineering, right? That is on the rise. So developing implants or developing models that can be used in hospitals, machines to treat and to diagnose people. So these are all things that you can work towards if you are interested in medical. But the basic idea is for people who are not in the field that they originally wanted to be in, is to make best of what the field they are already in, because you that is reality and that is what it is, right? So I think acceptance of where you are right now is the first step towards helping you to understand that, okay, this is what I have with me and this is what I can do. So I think acceptance and then doing things that would excite you and within your field is very, very important then.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, I am in third year. I wanted to do my master's abroad, but I feel because of the outbreak, it would be difficult to go out. Only option left right now is to get a job through placements, but already placed students are not guaranteed about their job. And so I'm very worried about my future. Can you help me?
I think the anxiety of the future everybody is going through right now, especially when we do not know what is going to happen ahead. But there's this one technique that I use a lot with myself and a lot with others who come to me as well, is listing down the things you can control and the things you cannot control. So over here in this situation, what you can control is obviously your behavior, your reaction, your thought processes is something that you can control. Whereas what is not in your control is again, whether in the future will the placements be great, will I get a placement or no. You might get a placement. It's again, it is in your head that you are not, you will not get, you might not get. There's a big difference between might and will. So I think having a sight on what is real, living in right now, what I can do best is what is in your control, and that is what you should be focusing on. Also, I think again, we all at this point of time, especially today and in these few months, we need to give this time for us to pass over it. We should not be crossing our bridges before we reach the bridge. Otherwise, there's no use jumping around until we we reach the bridge to be able to cross it. So give yourself time. We do not know what will happen. Only we need to be open to experience and to see that we make the best of what we have with us right now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question is, I have been trying hard not to think about the current scenarios, which is all debts and financial problem. But my mind keeps diverting there and I get scared. What should I do to calm myself down?
It's a very scary time. It's a very uncertain time. A lot of people are going through trauma and stress at this point of time. I think the first thing that most of us or all of us should be doing is reducing the amount of time that we spend watching news, especially all the news that is fake news, etc. So you limit yourself. It's important that we know what is happening around us for sure, but you limit yourself to watching maybe twice a day, but in the morning and in the evening, as to what the situation is. Because the more news you are receiving, the more news about death, about how the virus is spreading, etc., the more anxious it will make you. So limiting your time on what kind of news you are watching. Secondly, I think spend this time. I think all of us and a lot of us always hope for some free time, hope for some time where you could sleep more, you could maybe pursue a hobby that you've never really had the time for, or you could go to the gym, or you could really focus on your physical strength. So or focus with spending time with your family. So use this time for all these activities. All these activities are all activities that will make you happy, and these are all pleasurable activities. So spend time with your family, spend time engaging in a certain hobby or learning a new hobby, spend time resting, spend time catching on reading up. You also have a great amount of time right now because you are not going to schools and colleges to be focusing on your studies, to be focusing on preparation as well. Spend time with your family, build your support system, which is very, very important. And I think for those who are extremely concerned and get a little anxious about the situation that is happening around, especially when it comes to migrant workers and people not having enough food, a lot of us are very, very anxious about these things. I think if you can volunteer, you can maybe help a neighbor, help your family members, help a senior citizen in your building. All of this can help spread positivity in you because you know that you are helping somebody, and that can really help you reduce your anxiety.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, I'm originally from South but had come here for graduation. Since lockdown, I have been in touch with my family more regularly and I'm totally aware of the fact that they are doing fine and safe. Sometimes I just find it difficult to accept the fact that right now I cannot go back to them. If it gets really stressful, sometimes it happens in the middle of the night wherein I avoid calling them because I do not want to stress them about this situation of mine. Neither do I want to keep talking about the same thing with my roommates all the time, as they get bored, as they would get annoyed after a point. This had made it really difficult for me to focus on my studies. So, what should I do? Please help.
It is, firstly, I think it is understanding that it is a very, very genuine concern is what is important. So it's a genuine concern that you are having right now. A lot of us are having, who are staying away from home, in terms of how our families are doing, how our friends are doing. So firstly, acknowledging the feeling that okay, I am worried about my family and friends is extremely important. Only once when you acknowledge how you are feeling is when you will be able to do something about it. So acknowledgement is always the first step towards any kind of action or any kind of plan of action. Then I think what you need to do is, what we can do is, you put it into a reality perspective. Reality perspective in terms of, can you actually go home right now? Most often right now the answer would be no, right? So because you cannot go home right now, there is no transport available. Even if you get transport, you will be quarantined for 14 days once you reach your hometown, so you will anyway not be able to meet your family members. It will just increase your stress, your anxiousness, it will increase the stress of your family, etc. So I think once you put all these things in perspective, again, the things that you can control versus the things you cannot control, once you get that into perspective, then you will be able to understand that I think where you are right now, I'm guessing you're staying in a hostel or with a group of friends. Um, the place that you are right now is the safest place to be in. And I think the advantage that all of us have right now is that we are living in the 21st century. We have technology by our side. Sometimes I think when I go back, how did people survive when the Great Plague had happened, or in the 20s or in the 1600s? How did they survive at that point of time? Because right now, at least we have technology. We have our phones. We can video call. We can chat with our friends, with our family members. Know that they are safe. We can spend time watching Netflix, or we can spend time watching what we like online. So I think putting things in perspective and being thankful for what you already have with you is extremely important. Then, like I said, engage in activities that make you happy. Spend time on your hobbies. Spend time on reading. Find what your coping mechanisms are. So for me individually, my coping mechanism is whenever I'm stressed or I'm extremely overwhelmed, I listen to music. Right. So music is my coping style. So find out what your coping style is and indulge in that at times, especially when you are feeling extremely overwhelmed. And even after all doing all the steps, if you aren't able to deal with your stress and with your feeling of anxiousness, I think I'll be putting up my number, and the host here can circulate my number and my email address, and you're most welcome to call me and we can discuss it and have a chat over it and see what can be done.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question is, I'm losing my interest and focus on studies due to continuously staying at home, and remarks of parents on studying continuously is not helping me at all. What should I do to cope up with it? How should I manage and plan my
I
studies?
think how should you manage and plan your studies is something that we've already discussed in the tips of time management, study skills. How should you make a schedule? How do you review your schedule? How do you study your revision time? Spend time on revision, do not rote learn, etc. These are all what you should be doing. But when it comes to the expectations or the constant conversation that you're having with your parents and the pressure that your parents are putting on you, again putting it in a perspective of what I can control and what I cannot control. So again, what you can control in this situation is you can control your reaction to what your parents are saying. You can control your how much hard work you put in for your studies, if they are true, whether if you are not putting in too much of hard work. You can control your actions, etc. Right. So I think if your parents are constantly telling you to study, to study, to study, I think that is one of the most common most common issues that most of the students come with, is that my parent is pressurizing me too much. In that case, I think focusing on what you can do rather than what your parents should be doing, that unko nahi karna chahiye ye, again that is not in your control, right? So basically learning to compromise a little, learning to let go a little, learning to focus on your strengths, learning to spend more time, maybe put in a little more hard work, spending time in pleasurable activities. And I think most commonly, I think what is really needed here is to develop a bond with your parents, is to develop, to befriend your parents. And that can only happen if there's a communication that happens with your parents, where you are able to tell your parents that mom, dad, let's sit and talk about what you what you keep telling me. So this is my day, this is my schedule, I study so many hours each day, and I think I'm doing well, I think I have covered so much of course. So having an open conversation with them, keeping them involved in your lives and in your plans is extremely important, because if they know what is happening with you, then the possibility of them pressurizing you or constantly bickering at you would reduce.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question
Yeah.
is, what is one trait that you see in people most commonly and is the most important thing that has to be changed?
I think the one trait that I see most commonly in people, including myself and students and everyone, is the lack of acceptance. We do not like to accept what is presented to us. Most often, we like things done our way. We hope, or we want our plans to always turn out the way we want them to. But I don't think that really happens in life, right? We need to learn to accept. We need to learn to accept the learnings that we have received if we have not really got what we wanted in the first place. We need to be flexible to change our plans. So I think acceptance is one of the traits that we all need to work on. Accepting what the reality is, accepting what the situation is, because only once you accept that is when you are able to work towards something different, and you will be more motivated to work towards something different. And I think the major issue that all of us, again with acceptance, is that we do not let go of things. We hold on to things, we hold on to emotions, we hold on to why this did not happen to me. I think letting go is as important as doing something about a certain situation. So I think that is something that all is a trait that I see commonly in a lot of people, and we all need to work on that.
There are two more questions. The
Okay.
first one is, my question is, how would I overcome my drawbacks and make my way clear to the future?
I think firstly, understanding what your drawbacks are is great, is very important. I think one activity that I do with a lot of students who come to me is I ask them to write down, to take time out, maybe a day or 2 days, and write down what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and on a sheet of paper, and then we sit and we discuss as to how whatever strengths you have, how can you use them to overcome your weaknesses. So it's a process that you go through. And for example, if your strength is hard, that you are hardworking, then how can you use this strength of being hardworking to see that you achieve, like, to see that you become more responsible, if that is one of your weaknesses. So listing down your strengths and your weaknesses, and then seeing how you can use your strengths to overcome your weakness is an activity that can be done. It can be done by yourself. So you can just sit down and take a sheet of paper, and over a period of 2 or 3 days, keep on listing down your strengths and weaknesses as it comes to your mind. So basically, it is a process of introspection that you are doing through all of this. So you list it down, and then again, maybe with a family member, if you're close to your parents right now, or once school and college is open, maybe you can bring that list to me, and we can sit down together and discuss about how can you change your strengths to your weaknesses, or even you yourself could do that, because that would mean that your introspection is at a very high level where you're able to change and you're able to understand how to use your strengths for your weaknesses. And also, like I said, all of us need to focus on positive self talk. So write down your negative self talk on a sheet of paper, and on the next side of the paper, try and see how you can change those sentences into positive self talk. So these are the two things that you can.
Last question is, during exam period or at the time of interview, I can't keep myself relaxed and calm. I get overstressed although done with my studies and preparation nicely. How do I overcome this?
I think something that, again, I'm reiterating depending on what we've already spoken about. Again, positive self talk, okay, affirmations are extremely important. I will be sending you a PowerPoint on how to do positive self talk, how to change a negative self talk to a positive self talk, as well as a list of affirmations that you can put up and you can do. So these two things you have to continuously keep practicing, right? It's a process, and it begins to come naturally to you like a habit the more you practice it. Then things like the grounding exercise, when you are in that space, when you're just about to give your exam and you're feeling extremely anxious, the grounding exercise can work. The breathing, the sensory situation desensitization can really help at this point of time when you're in that space, when you're just about to give your exam. And when
Thank
you
you so
are,
much.
sorry,
I
and when you are preparing for your exams, what I spoke about, where you do a mock test, you try and you get the feel of how it is to give an exam, where you are in a room, you have maybe a table and a chair, and you have a timer, and you are completing a whole question paper at one point of time without anybody disturbing you. That is a good process also to start if you are extremely scared of giving examination. Do we have more questions?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
No,
Uh,
that's it.
Madam Joshi
Thank you
here.
so much.
Yes, sir.
Anmol, can you request,
Yes, sir.
Madam, can we spare a few more minutes?
Yeah, sure. I'm open to questions. If anybody
Okay.
from the people
Uh,
who are on the chat would like to ask me any questions, I'm open to that.
okay. So if anybody has any question, they can post it on the chat. If anybody has any question, You can post it on chat or just unmute yourself and ask the question.
So I think while people are still trying to understand what questions they have, I think again I'm trying to reiterate on the fact on how important time management is, how important focusing on what your study skills are, what is good for you, and practicing self relaxation techniques that will help you relax in certain circumstances is what is extremely important. And if after all of this also you are not able to relax and to feel better and are extremely anxious, please, I am available at the Pillai group. All the students of the Pillai colleges who are here, please get in touch with me. I think I'll send the handout that we will be circulating to you tomorrow. I'll put in my email address and my number on it. I'm available on WhatsApp and on call right now. And once school and colleges start, I am available to meet, obviously, and we can meet and we can discuss about your feelings, because then it would be more individualized, because that way then I can deal with it specifically to your condition.
There are questions, madam, in chat room.
Yes. I'm just going to open the question. Ganesh is asking, I'm confused between choosing a bachelor's in science degree in computer science and a BE in computer science. Can you help me out? So this is a very, very technical career counselor type of question. I'm not a specialized career counselor, but what I would like to say from my side is that I think you should choose what you are interested in and what your aptitude is. If you are searching for in terms of careers, then I think maybe speaking to your placement cell or speaking to a career counselor is a good idea. But when it comes down to what you should choose and what you want to do in life, I think it should always be based on your interests and also based on your ability as to whether you can do it. You might want to be a musician, but you might not really have the musical skills to be learning an instrument. So you have to take both of this into consideration. I hope I've answered your question, the first one. The second chat is, what is the one thing that you would like to change about human psychology if you could? Uh, so that's a difficult one, because psychology is something that is different for different people. I think the one thing that I would, okay, I'll say, but the one thing that I would like to change about me and the people that I see around me is that I hope and I would wish that all of us be much kinder to ourselves. We are all too, we are all too harsh on ourselves. We are too self-critical. We have too much of irrational beliefs, because of which we ourselves are pulling down our self-esteem. So I think we really need to be kind to ourselves. That is the one thing that I would really want to say, and something that we would like. It's a very difficult thing, because it is so ingrained in us. But I think it is the one thing that we should all be, and it's a process. So we should all be working towards it. I think there's one, two more questions, right? Okay. Ma'am, Neha says, ma'am, I'm studying in a CBSE school and I want to give the NTSC, but NTSC stage 1 has state board syllabus for exam. How can I manage both the 10th board exams and the NTSC? I think, again, time management is what is the key here. Putting your goals in perspective, seeing what is your priority right now. Is your 10th class board upcoming? So maybe you might have to spend more time focusing on your 10th class syllabus, or if your goal is to just pass 10th class and fare very well in the NTSC stage 1 syllabus. So focusing on your goals, time management is extremely important that you can do right now. Also, I think taking help from people, in terms of your teachers, in terms of people who know about the exam, getting relevant information and enough information is what is very, very important. I hope I've answered your question, Neha. We'll go to the next question. Okay. Is being confused a good quality mentally? So I think confusion is a human quality. Okay. All of us are confused, and I think acknowledging it, that we are human and that we are going to be confused, is the first step. Like I said, for any feeling, first step is acknowledgement. I think then we can do something about that feeling. So being confused is not the problem. The problem is how we act on that confusion. So if we are extremely anxious or we aren't able to focus, etc., is it might need certain kind of skill when it comes to that. But however, if you are confused and you are able to breathe, take some time out, and maybe list down things that are confusing you and try and make sense out of it, uh, then the confusion is no problem, right? So again, I'm trying to say is that the feeling is not the problem, the action is the problem. Similarly, anger as a feeling is not the problem, but how you react to anger, whether you break an article or whether you are able to deal with it, is where the problem lies or does not lie. So I think feeling confused is not the problem, but how you act on it is will depend whether it will be a problem or not. Sandeep sir is Doshi sir is saying, what shall be the typically day schedule to keep in mind? What shall be the typical day schedule to keep in mind in peace? So I think seeing that you get a good amount of sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours sleep is very, very important. So sleeping at an early time and waking up early is the most appropriate time schedule. So setting in time in the morning for just being. I think I like this word a lot, to be. To be is just to spend time maybe sitting and having a cup of tea without doing any activity, without thinking of what ahead. So that is very important because it helps you again get in touch with yourself, get in touch with reality. So that is what, then maybe spending some time on exercise, then doing your regular work. Right now, I think because we are at home, the perfect schedule would be, again, please have a day schedule. If you're at work, please do not wake up late and sleep late at this point of time, because I think because we are all home right now, so we have gotten to this schedule of sleeping late and waking up late. But wake up on time. See that you have a good morning yoga or exercise with a good breakfast. Then sitting down to work, in terms of spending a good amount of work time at work, say from 10 to 1 o'clock, then breaking for lunch, an hour and a half, and then getting back to work, and then again by 5 o'clock, setting things aside and spending time with family and doing activities that make you happy is I think what a good day schedule would be. And having dinner and sleeping at the right time, maybe I think 11 o'clock is a good time to sleep according to me. Maybe some people might differ, but I think that would be a great time to sleep. Joshisa, I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Next. Okay. Ma'am, I'm a student of class 10 CBSE and I have heard from many people to study all subjects in a single day. But ma'am, as per this, I have to revise that much the next day. So what do I do with it? Okay. So I think a lot of people say that you should be studying every day each subject. I think studying in a block makes more sense according to me. So that block could be studying one subject per day or studying two subjects per day, so that you can revise the next day. Now, when I mean you need to revise the next day, it means that you don't need to go through the whole portion. So you need to spend maybe half an hour in terms of remembering all the important points that you have studied the previous day. So I'm hoping that when you are studying, you are making short notes for revision, or you are making pointers for yourself. So revision would be that you just work on those pointers again and you try and you recollect those pointers. That is how revision takes place. So spending half an hour or 45 minutes of your day revising what you have done the previous day is, I think, a good way to start with your study skills. That was, I think that was Smridhi. I hope I've answered your question, Smridhi. The next question I'll take is, I want to take two or more things as a career, and this makes me more anxious. How do I solve this? I think it's a very vague question, but I think what we need to do is, again, uh, see what would interest you more, what is your aptitude more. These two things should be the baseline for you choosing a career. If both the careers that you want to do, you have not really said what both of them are. If they are interlinked, maybe you can pull it off. Maybe you might be able to do both, right? So for example, if you want to be a teacher and you want to be a musician as well, that might work for you. but depending on what the feasibility is, etc., I think you'll have to see what your feasibility is. You'll have to see what your skills are, what your interest is. These are all the things that you need to take into consideration. Yes. So how this makes me more anxious, how do I solve it? I think getting a clarity of thought is very, very important. So spend some time, discuss this with your close aides, with your family members. If you have a teacher who you are very close to, maybe you could discuss this with her and see what works, and maybe take her suggestions as well, and it will help you. Okay, that was Sakshi. The next is Ganeshan. We have three core subjects, but I get confused how to start about how to schedule it for a day timetable. Like, should we cycle the slots to all three subjects equally, or just a single subject a day, but giving sufficient breaks? Okay, so I think the first thing, if you haven't started studying, out of these three core subjects, the first what you should do is you should try and see which is the subject that you find most difficult. Okay, then which is your subject that you find easier. So for example, I don't know which class you are in, but if your subject that you find, say for example, I'm saying it's out of my examples, if English is the subject that you find easier, so if you haven't started studying, I think you should start studying with something that is easy. Why do you start studying with something that is easy? Because you are able to complete it, you are able to form a habit of starting to study, and also once you complete it, it gives you a positive feeling, so you are more motivated to take up something else. So you start with something easy, then you move on to something difficult, and then you end with something easy. Again, like I said, you might not need to do all the three subjects in a day. I think keeping it as a block subject in terms of maybe taking one subject or taking two subjects a day to study is a good idea. Studying all subjects together, you will neither be able to complete anything or achieve anything. But if you are able to take two, then you have a good amount of time to do it. Okay, I hope I was able to answer your question, Ganeshan. The next is, how do you overcome FOMO, the fear of missing out? Uh, I think this is something that is something very new. Again, the language is very new because it's a social media language. So I think the first thing is keeping specific time limits of how much social media you are using. So have a specific time as to when you will check your social media and when you will not. It's a very difficult process to live up to because you've set a specific time. But I think when it is not your time, maybe log off from your social media handles. All the social media handles, be it Snapchat, Instagram, etc., all of them have log off settings. So log off so that the process where you log on will take maybe 2-3 minutes and will give you time to think as to whether I should be logging on right now or no. Right? So that is what, log off from your social media handles, limit your time to or that you spend on social media. Also, it's a habit. Okay, they say in psychology that it takes 21 days to start a new habit. So right now, if you are in a habit of logging on to social media very often, then you have to develop a new habit of not logging onto social media that often. So that is a process that you have to continue to keep doing. Okay, that every time you realize that, oh, I'm checking my social media too often, you have to stop yourself, distract yourself, maybe put off your phone for a while, give it to your parents if that is what it takes, take your parents into confidence. These are the things that you can do. And I think automatically, once you are less on social media, you will not see what your other people are doing. So the fear of missing out that we are talking will also reduce. That is one. Okay, everyone at home and they think they can improve relation between siblings and parents, but it is the opposite for me and my younger brother. Started fighting more what to do. I understand. Yeah, I think this is a strange time because all of us are spending much more time at home, and we are in each other's spaces much more, in each other's companies much more. So we are tending to snap back, tending to fight, have arguments with each other. But I think what we can do at this point of time is try and compromise. Try and keep a control on the reaction that you have. Maybe all the time you might not have a control on your reaction, but at some times if you are able to control your reactions, it will obviously help in the situation. Also, I think connecting with people on a very informal level, like for example, try and spend time with your brother that you are saying here. Maybe playing a game, maybe playing a board game, maybe playing a video game or a computer game. So you are basically building on the relationship that you have with your brother. So if you and your brother have built on the relationship, if your brother and you are spending fun times and happy times together, then the possibility of you and your brother fighting will reduce. There will always be that thing, but I think there will always be a time where you are irritated or your brother is irritated with you and you are fighting. But I think at that point of time, you just need to let go. That was Kamal Kishore. Neha, ma'am, what can be a better as a career, aerospace engineering or chartered accountant? I'm sorry, but I'm not a career counselor, so I will not really be able to help you in this. But again, from my side, I say I think you should do what you like doing, what you are interested in doing, and if you have the ability, these are the two things, your two baselines that you should have. Do I like doing this, and do I have the ability to do it? Okay, these are the two things that you should really take into consideration. And besides that, when you if you want to know in terms of the course and what you need to do and where you need to apply, then I think a good option would be going to a career counselor or speaking to your teachers about it in terms of more specifics. I'm sorry, I'm not a career counselor, I'm a mental health counselor, so that is why I'm not able to answer that too much. Ma'am, I am from class 10 CBSE. I want to clear JEE exams so I can start studying small things about it from now onwards. Okay. I guess yes, you can start studying, but again, I think take your teachers into consideration. Ask them for help. Get enough knowledge. Again, one of the things, like I said in the beginning, as to why people get stressed is if you do not get enough information on what the course is, what to study, how to study, what books need to be got. So I think get enough information about all of that. Should I continue with the questions? Anmol, I cannot hear you. There are two more questions. Should I continue, sir?
Yes, no problem, madam. These
Okay.
are the last two questions.
Okay, fine. Yes. Is empathy a good thing to practice with people, or many a times people take advantage of this? Then how to overcome the shock? Yes, empathy is always a good thing to practice. I think empathy is something that all of us need to. Empathy and empathetic is something that all of us need to be following and be right now, especially in this time. But I understand there are people who take advantage and who you might say stab you in the back. At that point, I think, but what you need to understand that out of the 100 people maybe you are empathetic with, there'll be only one person. So then it is that obviously 99% have taken it well, right? So I think you see it as the larger perspective, saying that one person, I think maybe the person was going through a hard time or had his or her own issues. That's why they backstab me and let it go. But otherwise, the 99 people that you have been empathetic towards have been affected and have been affected positively by your empathy. So I think that is why we should be empathetic. And that's the last question I'll take, which is from Samriddhi. Samrid, ma'am, what is the fastest, efficient, and easiest way to develop mind peace, confidence, and focus towards studies at the same time as I cannot focus, okay, as I can focus in meditation? I think the fastest way would be to assign a clean space for you to sit. Like I said, see that your study table where you are sitting is very, very important, because we spoke about the conditioning aspect where you're conditioning your mind to start to focus. So that's the easy way to start doing it. Also, even if you are not able to focus, if you have scheduled it in your time to sit for 40-45 minutes, I think spending that time there sitting, whether you are able to focus or no, is important. With time, your mind will start making an association, the concentration will increase, and that is how you can continue. Besides that, I think trying is always very, very important. So if you cannot, if your mind is too stressed out and too haphazard and all over the place, I think start with breathing exercises. Start with breathing exercises and focusing on your breath. Then move on to, like I spoke about, the other relaxation techniques like the grounding technique or the desensitization technique. You can move on.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking your time out and sharing your advice with us. Now, I'd like to invite Siddesh Rane, Secretary of PHCET, to continue with this event.
Take a minute and say thank you to everybody for hearing me out. I know there were a lot of ideas that came from my side, and these ideas are not basically something that I have learned textbook. These are all the ideas that I've tried to incorporate and I've used with students and other people who have come to me for counseling over time. So I'm hoping that they will be helpful to you. If you find any need to clarify, to help me out, to help me out with your schedules, or you would like anybody to speak to, please feel free to get in touch with me. And thank you, Joshi sir and Madhumita ma'am and Anmol and the other teachers here who have helped arrange this meet.
Just a request to all the participants. Please switch on your cameras so that you will be seen on the screen and we can have a group photograph. Over to
Siddesh.
Over to Siddesh. Next session.
Yes. Hello, this is Siddesh Rane, General Secretary of PHCET Rasaini. Good evening, Dr. K. M. Vasudevan Pillai, Founder and CEO of MES Group of Institutions, Dr. Daphne Pillai, Co-founder of MES Group of Institutions, Principal of PCE, Dr. Sandeep Joshi, Principal of PHCET, Dr. Madhumita Chatterjee, Principal of PHCASC, Dr. Lata Menon, all the HODs, faculty, and my dear friends. I would like to extend heartfelt gratitude to Yvette ma'am for taking time off a busy schedule and for helping us find ways to sit back and relax during these difficult times, as when we have been caught up with our own internal struggles. I hope Yvette ma'am has been able to cover as many students' concerns as possible, and in some or the other way, all of us who have been attending the seminar have found it relatable and thus helpful too. I hope you all would certainly implement her guidelines and provide us with feedback. A special thanks to the team, Arun sir, Sharvari ma'am, Ranjita ma'am, Yogesh sir, Student Council of PCE, Student Council of PHCET, and special thanks to Ajay Nair and his technical team. And a very great thanks to Dr. Sandeep Joshi, who is the mastermind behind today's webinar. Also, I would like to thank our dearly respected Vasudevan sir and Daphne ma'am for giving us their precious time and joining us throughout the session. Thanks to all the students for joining in, and we certainly look forward to having you all together for another fun session that would possibly follow. Have a great day ahead. Take care and look after each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, again. Please get in touch with me if you need to. Yeah, you're most welcome to get in touch with me if you need to.
All the students who have registered through their email IDs would certainly be emailed a PPT or a handout of today's webinar by tomorrow.
And an e-certificate of attendance, participation in this webinar. We are going to issue e-certificate to all the attendees. Thank you all for joining. Thank you.